What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 11th episode of Trench Talk. I am here with just one co-host today, NRV. LTR is on a business trip. He's very sad he couldn't make it, but he'll be back for next one. And then our guest of the week today is Shady. How are you doing, Shady?
I'm doing good. Hope you guys are doing good as well.
Doing great.
Thank you for having me on the pod.
Oh, for sure. It's glad to have you in here. NRV, how are you, sir?
Doing great, man. Just trying to grind in the trenches, as usual. Enjoying the election stuff as it unfolds. Currently, well, just before the pod, was watching Joe Biden trip over his words. Pretty hilarious.
Oh, yeah. President Vice Trump. And
Yeah.
I don't even know what else it is. I'm pretty sure it's like I don't know there's a market for it, but I'm telling you it's risen if someone has a market made for him to literally just die mid-talk on the podium.
Maybe it's on Polymarket. Who knows?
Probably.
I'm about to make that market, bro.
You guys got to
It's
get a
bad.
Polymarket
I don't know what
sponsor.
I don't know what they're doing over there. Yeah, Polymarket, reach out, dog. Get us that sponsorship.
They must be making so much money, man.
I don't even want to look at it. You know, the other day I actually did look at the pump fund earnings. Gross.
Isn't it over $250,000? It's like pushing $300 million, I thought.
It's disgusting numbers. It's actually disgusting. But all right, let's get into some of our fun topics today. I guess we'll just go and start with Shady. Would you be interested in just giving us an initial background, brief story of how you got to where you are?
Yeah. So I got into crypto a lot before I started actively like trading NFTs or doing anything like that. I was a lot younger though, so I didn't really have money, but I knew like what Bitcoin was and not really Ethereum until like 2021, but I knew of Bitcoin and I was at least interested in it. And then eventually I started making money on Minecraft by like selling in-game items for money in any way I could. So one of the ways a lot of people could pay was crypto. So I set up a Coinbase account and it was great for receiving payments. And I learned a lot through their Coinbase Learn feature, which they kind of just like pay you to learn exactly what it sounds like. But I never really took it that seriously. It was more of a way of receiving payments up until maybe August 2021 when my gaming friends they all started doing NFTs and they're like, you gotta get in this. So I said, fuck it. I put in like maybe a few $1,000 and instantly just started like printing money. It was pretty unbelievable. I mean, I'm sure you guys were there to see it. I know, Anand, you said you were like getting into like Anonymice and shit around this time, so you can definitely relate. But before crypto, I was just doing gaming. I was streaming on Twitch for a little bit. I never like got partnered or anything, but I was averaging like maybe 40-ish viewers just playing Minecraft, and that's also why you'll see. A lot of the people I interact with on Twitter are like gaming people as well. Or if you look through like my following, you'll see like some bigger streamers are following me. But no, once I got into NFTs, I just started grinding whitelist really hard. And it was very difficult to balance because I was working a full-time job as well. And it really left me in a dilemma where there would be times where I knew I would be making more money staying at home, like grinding whitelist, but I also had a pretty good like opportunity going at my job, so I couldn't just like bail on that unless I like fully committed, which I am now. I quit at the end of March. I don't really regret it. But things could be different if I did never work that job. But I think what I did was safe. Yeah, do you guys have any questions about that, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start from, I don't know. You seem like kind of more interview. When did you start crypto? I forget.
Like 2016, 2017.
Yeah, you were earlier.
And stopped
So
and got back into it.
yeah, me and you, Shay, were kind of more on the same pace here because I hopped in around NFTs just because I don't know, like I was selling shoes at the time, so I guess I can't really tell you're selling what were you selling on Minecraft? I'm just curious. I'm so fascinated by that.
Just coins on like this one server.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dude, I've always
world.
like for me like it clicked like with NFTs like get back into crypto pretty heavily. It just seemed like an obvious thing, like an obvious use of tech, and obviously like people are making a lot of money on it. But I think there's a lot of similarities with a lot of people in the space. Like I met Shady through Hideout, maybe even NFT Caviar. I'm not sure if you were in there before
No,
we moved over to Hideout, but there's a ton of gamers in this space: streamers, pro gamers, casual gamers. That's just a big similarity that you see with a lot of traders. I remember like way back in like maybe it was like 2008, 2009. I remember selling my World of Warcraft account with like a full molten core set for like almost $2,000 on eBay. This was like the first time I made money through like just like trading some kind of digital shit online.
Yeah.
So I think it makes a lot of sense to get into NFTs for a lot of gamers, you know, or
Well,
even just crypto in general.
It was also, I've said this in previous podcasts. I'm just going to assume, Shady, you'll agree with me on this. It was really easy to get into and not have a huge bankroll.
Yeah.
I feel
100%.
like nowadays, if like, especially like shitcoins, like you need to have a decent. You got to be able to throw shots out there. And with NFTs, I mean, you could just grind whitelists. Like if you, the first interaction I think I had you, Shady, was you showing me like this script you made for entering pre-mints or whatever of all these Twitter accounts. And I know you were like really good at grinding whitelists and stuff like that. And it makes sense, you know, because I mean, it was just such an easier barrier of entry, I think.
Yeah, I think that is really what the greatest thing about NFTs was. Just the fact that people really did come up from having nothing, and it was even more great too, because even if you didn't have nothing, you could make a lot of money and take on very little risk as long as you put time in. Or I know there were a lot of people like paying people to like type in chat or like running bots. Like there's a lot of different ways where you could use your resources to just get more than one whitelist, which is what I tried doing, but I never had any like super whitelist cooks where I had like a ton of them, but all the little wins just definitely add up, and I think it's something that at the time a lot of people took for granted, especially looking back at it now. There's nothing even like close to as free as that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, one of the things I've noticed from you over like the past couple of years, just like being in similar communities as you, is you definitely take the time to try to maximize those opportunities. We have like a airdrop farming channel that I know I've known you to be very active in, and if I have questions about certain airdrops or like whether it's a specific token or how to farm something, you're basically the first person that comes to mind for me. And I think it's also like a reminder that there are countless ways to make money in crypto, whether it's that NFT whitelist farming opportunity or even airdrops now. Obviously, airdrops in the current market or current state aren't as robust as they used to be, but that's definitely a strength that I've seen that you have, and obviously you have some dev skills in general that helps you do that too, right?
Yeah, so I did teach myself like just about everything I know about like development. I really only took like one class in university before I dropped out, and then the rest was just like going online, like Googling stuff, Chat GPT, and just learning as I go. Like the more projects I work on, the more confident I'd be feeling. But yeah, airdrop farming is something that I really like to do now. I am going to be trying to get in a position where I'm a lot more comfortable just grinding on chain, scanning contracts, like tracking wallets. Because I used to be pretty good at tracking wallets, but I kind of just stopped once I started heavily airdrop farming. The issue I had was that I was just trying to do way too much. I started farming ZK Sync with around 100 wallets, and I was trying to maintain all of them. I really only ever got started like heavily on like 70 of them, and I qualified on I think 58 or something. With that being said, ZK Sync did their airdrop in a way that didn't really reward sibling, so I did not perform as well as I wanted to. I ended up with about 250,000 tokens, and I think if I would have like even just did like 10 or 20 wallets, I probably would have ended up with closer to like even a mil or like 500k, but it is what it is. It was still a great airdrop for me nonetheless, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't expecting more.
So like what goes into that, just from like I guess like a high level perspective? Obviously you're doing some type of sibling, whether it's multi-wallet or multi-account stuff, but you have to like protect yourself in that approach. So like there's no links or whatever.
Yeah,
like, can you just like talk, I guess, like high level about what that looks like and kind of how you approach things? Obviously, it may differ from project to project, but I'm sure there's some similarities.
Yeah, so sibling or having like Sybil wallets, I think, is just a great resource to have overall. Because if like NFTs do ever come back, once you're like given these wallets to be whitelisted, it's just nice to have them unlinked, because there were a few times in NFTs where I did have whitelist clipped. I don't know if it's because they looked through like on-chain connections, but from what I thought, they were just getting cut for no reason. So that is like one reason why Sybil wallets are great and why I initially even started looking into it.
Can you talk, like, not to interrupt, but like, can you talk more about what a Sybil wallet looks like in more detail, and then continue with that? Because I think it's more than just not linked, like funding source, like typically a certain number of transactions, amount of funds inside of them, whatever.
Yeah, so I looked into it like very heavily right before I started my ZK Sync farm, just so I knew I was doing it the right way. Because at the end of the day, I'm not trying to trust what someone on Twitter says. I'd rather just do my own research. So if I get fucked, I know it was my own doing. But the most important part about having Sybil wallets is that it's just not possible to connect them in any way, whether it's by on-chain transfers of like either NFTs or straight up ETH or any other tokens, or sending to the like same exchange address is a big no-no. But there's even other ways to get caught, such as like timing analysis, which is if you're doing the same shit on all your wallets in the same order, people can and will catch you. So when I was doing my farming, I would make sure to just pick a random wallet and then use a random protocol, rather than use all the wallets in the order I funded them in, and then use the same protocols in the same order. Because while it might not seem obvious to someone who's just looking at like Etherscan or something, like Nansen, like possibly you could find shit like that. I mean, I really doubt they did, but it's still not something you want to leave on chain to be found. An example of this is Layer 0 had their Sybil reports. I don't know if you guys know, but basically, if you reported a cluster of wallets and the report got accepted, you got 10% of the tokens that they would have got on all their wallets.
That's pretty smart of them.
Yeah, so I ended up submitting...
you ratted some people out.
Yeah, I did like 5 reports, and for all these reports, none of the wallets were connected by any on-chain like transfers.
But
The
you
only
got them
thing
through
that-
timing analysis?
Yeah, exactly. So what
Nice.
I did was I filtered Stargate transactions over like 10 ETH, and then I was looking through like these wallets manually, and I found that they were doing all the same shit in the same order within a few days of each other. So it was just very obvious, and I submitted the reports. Unfortunately, the reports still haven't been processed, so I don't even know if I'm going to get anything for it yet. Yeah, kind of fucked up what Layer Zero did with that, but I think I should know by the end of the week. But sorry, I'm like going off topic, but
No, I think that's pretty interesting. I would definitely follow up with them if I were you. You actually have me thinking about some stuff that I farm. Like, I don't do a ton of airdrop farming, but there's that Layer 2 Bitcoin project coming out called Botanics Labs, and I was just farming a lot on there because to me, like, Layer 2 Bitcoin narrative is just like a really obvious narrative, even though like there may be a bunch of Layer 2s like people talk about, and like why that BVM project came out where you could just launch your own Layer 2, right? But I still think there's a clear need for it, and that one, they call themselves the Spider Chain, seems to be an obvious one. So I was just like doing a ton of transfers and testnet stuff for them and minting their NFTs that they had. But I think the habit that people have is exactly what I was doing. You're reminding me of it. I would just go down my MetaMask and just click every wallet and do the same things. And I would do it in like, I wasn't even spacing them out. I was just going in order. I would just rip off 30 wallets and then stop.
Yeah, like it's definitely easy and like a lot faster to do it that way. But if you really want to make sure that you're cornered or you got all your bases covered, then you definitely don't want to be using your wallets in the same order every time.
Yeah.
And another big thing about sibling too is that I'm kind of like straying away from having a main wallet, which might seem confusing at first, but the thing is that the way I look at like gas on Ethereum now is that it's almost like an asset, like just having the transaction history on the wallet. So I don't like trading like shit coins on my main wallet anymore, because if I could just get transactions trading shit coins on ETH mainnet on other wallets, then I don't have to like artificially make them later to make it look like an organic wallet. So the best
smart.
way to Sybil is really just have a bunch of quote unquote organic wallets. This doesn't mean that you have to like swap wallets after you make a trade. Like usually I might just put a few ETH into one wallet and I'll leave it in there until I feel like I've done enough, and then I'll send it to like Coinbase, wait a few days, send out a bit less, and then I'll start using a different wallet. But
you're funding it from a different source though, because those still have to be, you know, quote unquote clean Sybil wallets. So like when it comes to funding the new ones, what do you use? Like Change Now or something?
Funding actually doesn't matter. As long as you're not
if it's
doing
like you mentioned from like the same exchange wallet or something though, right?
Well, how the exchanges work is that after you send your ETH, for example, to the deposit address, the deposit address will just be a random address that only you have sent to, but that address is operated by Coinbase, and then they'll like send all that money to a bigger wallet with like all their assets in it. So when they're sending money out, you can't really tell who owns it, you know?
Gotcha.
Because it's all from one big pool. So all these wallets are going to have like millions of transactions on them, so you can't really be traced that way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, it's valid. I was trying to write that down and all that, because me and airdrop farming have not been a good friend. I don't know. It takes a lot of time, which is something like I always was like, just because, I don't know. I think just seeing the, for me, it's almost like it's like on-chain trading is like addicting for me. Mm-hmm. And
same here.
I don't know. Like it was funner like whitelist farming, and I've done like I actually did a little botanot. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I remember it like kind of like came out during like I think a good airdrop happened like right before it. So I think airdrop every time like an airdrop like that catches people off guard happens, everyone gets into airdrop farming, and that's kind of been my thing. And something I have realized is like I need to almost like make a list of what I think is good, and then lock in on the downtimes, which I assume that's like something that should be mentioned because I know. I mean, I think it happened with like Blur Season 1, and well, Blur Season 1 was always just nothing, and then it was amazing. But then Blur Season 2, everyone was like super locked in, focused on it, and it was super PvP. And then actually towards like the middle end of it, it was like a lot easier to get points, and a lot more people make money just kind of waiting for everyone to like not do it anymore. So I think it's a good thing just to kind of like write down things you want to airdrop farm and pick and choose good times to do it, because I know a lot of people that lost a lot of money PvPing each other like on Blur.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot goes into picking what to airdrop farm. Like, I think in many cases you may not even know if it's going to be worth it or not. But
yeah,
I mean, looking into tokenomics and everything is important too. But there's also other ways to do it. Like, I can't remember what drop it was. This was like before Blast, but I think prior to that there was like an airdrop that went out maybe like a month or two before then. And some people had spoken about, like, a lot of tokens before they do their airdrop, they'll allocate a certain amount of their tokens in the tokenomics as a developer airdrop. So if you use their testnet and you deploy a contract or like a unique project or do something on there, sometimes it's just like deploy a contract and it's like doesn't even have to be anything complex, right? Mm-hmm. I've seen like some crazy numbers that people had cooked on just by doing dev airdrop stuff. Have you ever done that before?
No, I generally try to stay away from testnet farming now. I think what you were thinking of was the Aptos airdrop, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that was the one. Yeah.
Where people just had to mint some NFT for free, and I think they got like $800 worth of token. It might have been more. I didn't actually like qualify for that. But I think testnet farming like is too diluted to the point where it's almost never going to be worth it now, unless it is just like some slept-on shit. Like there have been some profitable testnets recently, but they weren't like a super cook. Like maybe like you got an NFT that you could sell for like $80 or something. But stuff like farming Barachain testnet, I think, is just a waste of time, because you know there are like people spinning up like literally tens of thousands of wallets just doing the same task. It's like, it's either going to be you're not getting any tokens for doing that, or you're diluted to hell by people who can spin up so many wallets for free.
Yeah, so that's a good example of like mm-hmm. what would not be a good one to go after. Actually, you and I talked about this too recently. Like one of the quickest bridges, if you guys listening don't know, is dbridge.finance. It's like instant. I think a lot of us used Orbiter in the past, or mm-hmm. like Change Now for certain stuff, but dbridge is like nearly instant, just like a couple seconds or a few seconds cross-chain, depending on, well, for most chains that they support, it's fast. They're going to have an airdrop in the future, but I asked Shady his opinion on this like a month ago, and he's like, yeah, I don't think it's worth it, because you can literally just transfer back and forth a ton of times. It's going to be too diluted. So I guess that begs the question, what's a good example of like a good airdrop to go after? Maybe one in the past, or like even better, if you have any alpha, like what are you looking at right now that you think would be a good example?
Right now I'm actually like in the middle of like shuffling how I have my entire port. So I don't actually know what I'm going to farm next. It's probably going to be a lot of stuff on base, but I don't want to say too much just because I'm not actually sure. I'll probably put out a Twitter thread once I know, but an example of a great airdrop in the past was, I guess, Gdo. So Gdo happened kind of right when Solana really started to take off, and especially airdrops on Solana were not even like super hot. But for those of you who don't know what happened with Gdo, it's a liquid staking protocol on Solana, and the lowest qualifying wallets, I think they got at least like 12K each or something, and a lot of people, that's how they probably got their start for like these newer participants. Like this guy I worked with, I actually was like putting him on to crypto, and I told him to just buy some Solana. He bought it. He bought like $700 worth, and then I told him to like get Phantom Wallet and then just go hold Jito Sol and then put it in MarginFi. He did that. 2 weeks later, he's up 12K. It's like fucking unbelievable. But the reason why Jito was so great is because it's something that no one was really looking at the time. I don't even think I would be able to name a protocol that had a good airdrop on Solana before that. I guess you could make the argument for Bonk, but Bonk is really just like some meme coin. It's not like people farmed it. They got it for free for holding NFTs. But something to keep in mind when looking into which airdrops are good and which are not, it mainly comes down to how many people are farming it currently and how much funding the protocol got also matters. And the reason that matters is because, I mean, you just got to follow the money. Like, if they invested a lot of money, then they're going to be expecting to get that back. So the best way to do that is a token. So if their token flops, then they're not making money. So if you just follow the money, usually you'll be good, unless you're diluted to shit, which happens a lot now. So you have to make sure you're not diluted as number one. A great way to find airdrops to farm is by tracking fundraising rounds, which you can do on a website called CryptoSlam, and DeFi Llama has it as well, which I'll usually be checking both of them. DeFi Llama is just a great platform overall for seeing stuff like TVL of various protocols, how long they've been around, how many wallets are using them, and like what it is. So if you do want to get into airdrop farming, I would say DeFi Llama is probably one of your best friends.
DeFi Llama is such a great site. I used to go on there to try to find funding for NFT projects. Oh, Lord. That was awful. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like everything's kind of like cyclical, and like, you know, the recent airdrops have kind of flopped, the big ones. So I feel like now, since everyone's like, oh, this is ass, now something good's going to come out and like catch everyone off guard, and then everyone will want to be an airdrop farmer again. They just rinse, repeat. So you know what? I'm gonna start getting back into it. I'm gonna load DeFi Llama and maybe look into it, because, you know, honestly, on chain's actually gotten a little dead at some points past couple weeks too. So I got more time to do that stuff.
Yeah. I've got a good way for us to pivot this convo. I want to talk more about Shady. So I've watched Shady like over like the past year or two gain quite the following. Like, you have a lot of followers on Twitter. And I remember, like, this is probably like almost 2 years ago at this point. I remember like sitting in voice chat with you, and you like went onto somebody's Twitch stream, and it was hilarious to watch. I won't go into like detail with that, but it was just funny to like watch you get on there and be a troll, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember, gosh, it's probably over a year, maybe a year and a half at this point, back when the Wall Street Bets coin dropped, and I think I was up like 100K on it. It was like a big win for me at the time. And then that guy ZJZ, one of the moderators for Wall Street Bets, apparently had two of the signing keys for their multi-sig and basically rugged the entire project. I'm sure a lot of people listening remember that. Caused me to lose a lot of money, but it's on me for not taking profit, I guess. Just thought it would go higher, you know? That happens to me a lot. Anyways, it was like super controversial, and the Twitter spaces were absolutely insane. And I remember Shady went up on there and you always ask these like really great questions and you press people on these hot topics, and I've seen you do it multiple times. Even like recently this year, like you were on the Martin Shkreli Spaces.
Yeah.
You've been very vocal about the Brett launch. So I just think by having a well thought out opinion around controversial topics, not being afraid to say the right thing or the obvious things or ask the pressing questions has gained quite a following for you. I'm sure it's probably caused some decent problems for you as well. I'm aware of some of them. Mm-hmm. But I think that'd be something interesting to talk about. I'm just curious, like, if you have any thoughts on that. It's been fun to watch, for sure.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right in saying that I gained a lot of my following and kind of calling out bad actors and saying stuff that not everyone wants to say. The biggest push I had in following was my Brett thread, as you guys know, but for the listeners out there, Brett is the biggest meme coin on Base. It's in the billions of market cap for sure. It's at least over $1 billion, I want to say. But at the time I called them out, it had already reached like 800 mil and then went down to maybe like 500 mil when I put my tweet out. But my tweet was essentially exposing them for sniping like 86% of the supply at their launch and showing off that they owned most of the tokens still. And I also called out this one TikToker, Invest with Rex, because he had already dumped $5 million worth of tokens, which is fucking insane considering he only had 1% out of the 90+% that the team controlled. But after I made that Twitter thread, the price of Brett crashed. I think like 60% or something. It crashed a lot.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah, it got a ton of attention, and my Twitter following doubled. I think I was at like 4K followers or something, and then it pushed me like to 10K. Now I'm like just under 12. But calling out people like that is definitely something that will garner a lot of negative attention, even if I wasn't necessarily like saying like, oh, everyone needs to go sell this right now. Like, the tweet was more to inform people of like what was actually going on so they could make their own like educated decision themselves. But since then I've had a ton of people, I think at least like 3 or 4 different people hit me up on Telegram and tell me, oh, like, someone paid me to get your Twitter account banned, blah, blah, blah. Like, if you pay me this much, then I'm not going to ban it. But, like, I'm not going to pay these people, so...
yeah, it's
but
insane.
Nothing happened yet. Funny enough, one of the people who was trying to get money out of me, I was basically asking him for like proof of what he's saying, and he ended up leaking a screenshot that he definitely should not have. But one of the wallets that was whitelisted and sniped Brett was the person that actually paid him. So just like someone from the Brett team
from
like,
that wallet.
It was. I think it
Or
was
you were able
from
to
a
figure out
wallet.
who it was.
I'll get to that in a second, but it was
Okay.
from a wallet that sniped Brett, or that received ETH from a wallet that sniped Brett. So it's like essentially the team. I haven't made a follow-up thread to Brett yet, but there were, I believe, like 121 wallets whitelisted to Brett. 100 of them was straight up the team. Or no, it was 140 wallets. 100 of them were the team. 20 of them belonged to Penske, aka OX Imperius, if you guys know him. He's kind of a KOL on Twitter.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, 20 of the wallets were his, and then 20 of them were... I can't even remember his name off the top of my head, but it's some like Neo Tokyo guy who I established as just being the dev because he's not a KOL or anything. But they were all his wallets, or 20 of them were at least.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember I was on a Twitter space that Uniswap Villain asked me to join once. That was hosted by Mario Nafal.
Yeah.
Asked if I wanted to come on there and just talk about like meme coin trading and strategy. And they had like a panel of other speakers that they brought up, and they brought up Penske was one of them.
Yeah.
As well as that guy Peyote or Peyote or whatever. There's like a handful of other guys too, but I remember Penske was talking about Brett, and he said how he was playing League of Legends that night, and he just got like a ping, and he went and bought it, and like he was like flexing that as like his big win. But clearly that was not the case. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, 20 of the wallets were his, and what's actually funny about his wallet specifically is that someone actually launched a fake Brett prior to the real Brett on base. So he ended up sniping the fake one with like 6 or 7 of those wallets, and then he never ended up buying the real one on them. But on the other ones, he did buy the real one. So it seems like he wasn't fully like talking to the team as it was launching, and he sniped the wrong one, which ultimately cost him like millions of dollars. But yeah, that's kind of funny that he would be saying that on a Twitter space, and it really just goes to show that a lot of these KOLs they don't have the best intentions for people, and they really just care about their reputation and how they're perceived, so they'll really tell you whatever the hell you want to hear.
Yeah, and they care about making money at the end of the day, and unfortunately a lot of them have it easy mode, so to speak, where they can get away with doing things like that continuously, and you see it time and time again. It's unfortunate, but I think like a lot of people in the space don't even realize that's going on, and they'll just continue to buy what they talk about or what they shill. It sucks, but a lot of these big name people, I mean, just to be cut and dry about it, like they're actually not, many of them are not great traders, and that's how they make their money. I'm not saying these specific people we're talking about aren't great traders at all, and I don't like to like pick a side or shit on anybody on the podcast at all. It's not what I'm trying to do. I just think it's a hot topic worth discussing, and I think that even in regards to Brett, this was like eye-opening to me, and a lot of people have like talked about and pushed this narrative just this cycle alone, more so than I saw it all last cycle, because people would stay away from these. But the topic of supply control, where like whether you hate it or not, Brett is a very successful coin, and people have tried to repeat that blueprint, and people that aren't even involved with that, and when they see it, they'll actually talk about that as like a bullish point or a part of their bull thesis around why a specific coin is good, because the supply is controlled. Like a lot of people owned a ton of supply on Daddy Tate. A lot of people owned a ton of supply on the Land Wolf coin. Invest with Rex is associated with that one as well. Yeah. It's like, I don't know, what do you think about that? Because I think that in itself is like a really interesting topic. Like, yeah, supply control is good because you have less opportunity for people with a lot of supply to cheat. Granted, if they're kind to the chart, or if they're LPing out and making their money that way, it could be good, but I don't know. I think it's a hot topic for sure.
Yeah, I think coins like that, where the team controls a lot of the supply, it's definitely been a lot more popular since Brett, we could say. I think Landwolf is a coin that really shows off how much controlling the supply actually matters. I actually ended up buying Landwolf at like 14 mil. This was prior to Invest with Rex calling it. Just because he kind of hinted towards he was going to call it, and then sure enough it 10x in like a few days. And the thing about these coins are that, like, yeah, obviously the price going up is the best utility of all. How can you hate on that?
That's what we want, dude. Yeah.
So as much as I would like to hate, it's like, if they're not being malicious with the tokens, then, and not like dumping on everyone, then I guess it's really not that bad. The thing is that once you're dealing with these coins where the dev controls so much of the supply, you're kind of putting your fate in their hands. So there's another coin on Solana a few months ago. It was called Flipcat. I don't know if either of you guys heard of it, but it was another coin that seemed like it was like some cabal play. The team owned an absurd amount of the supply, and then it flew from like 2 or 3 mil to, we'll say, 80 mil in one day. And then all of a sudden, the guy running the coin just decided, fuck this, and he nuked it straight back down to like 2 mil also in one day. So it's a great example of the dangers that come with having coins like this. But if you do have a team that knows what they're doing and knows how to market make properly, then these coins really can be great. And I think there is like a bit of a narrative that like even follows these coins now, where if you see the dev controlling all of it, you kind of know, like, the dev at least has an idea what they're doing, but you also have to decide if you trust the dev or not.
It's a double-edged sword for me because, it's one of those things to where you can't really complain about it. You just have to deal with it, and there's obvious pros and cons, and it's only gotten even worse in more scenarios with the whole CTO meta at the moment. You'll literally have a team launch a coin, make money off the initial candle, nuke it, rebuy, then start pushing it just for like the extra money. But I mean, it comes with any coin. Like, let's say it's not the dev, it's just the initial bundle on a coin. Like, there's so much that goes into like how important supply control is, and sometimes it's literally you just have to have some blind trust. It is what it is. Like, you'll miss these like massive supply control opportunities, and I think a lot of it has to take with just experience. I know sometimes it happens to where you can find a confluence of wallets that those have been my best opportunities. I've seen, previous attempts at supply control from a certain team, and you'll almost get a track record of how long they'll like let the coin last. Mm-hmm. Like, some of it's like, okay, if it has decent volume, they'll let it run for a little bit and see if it can kind of run organically. Or some they'll just start selling from the bundle and it's just nothing. So I really recommend if anyone's having trouble with current bundle meta, super controlled supply meta, if you can try to find a confluence of wallets, great. If you don't, it's almost like you're playing a game of Crash. There's nothing really much you can do. But anyways, we got pretty far on that. You know what? I didn't even mention this one, but let's just like completely switch it up just for the podcast. I thought this would be interesting for some people. I didn't realize, Shady, you're also one of us jobless people that do crypto full time.
Yep.
How was your decision into going jobless? How did that go for you? Why did you make it? Are you like happy with your decision? I'm just curious.
I was confident in making my decision now, rather than before, because I built up my port enough to the point where if crypto did crash a lot, I would still be covered pretty decently and be able to live for like a few years pretty comfortably before I had to like even worry about like trying to get another job or anything like that. And also at the time I quit, I had a ton of airdrops lined up, and I still do have a good amount of airdrops lined up that should hit. But I definitely do not regret it. Even though I liked my job, I liked everyone I worked with, and it was just a chill office job. It was still, at the end of the day, something like I was obligated to do every day, and it just took away a lot of freedom that I had to really do whatever the hell I want, which I now can do whatever the hell I want. So if I want to staring at new contracts all day, I can, or I could spend a lot more time farming airdrops, or I probably will even start doing like crypto Twitch streams in the future, because I think that's just something that would be fun to do. Not really like make a ton of money off of that or anything, but it would just be something that I enjoy that I wouldn't have had time for before because of the job I had.
You know, I think the best thing is just trying to find something that you actually enjoy and like have fun doing, and hopefully just ends up making money. That's kind of how crypto did for me. Mm-hmm. Like for me, I was a server at the time at a restaurant, and you know, I was like, well, just made 2-3K off of NFT, and I'm literally missing opportunities like shit. So I said, all right, give it. I had no idea how like cycles work, anything, you know. I was like, let's see if it lasts for like 2 months. I think this was around August 2021. So I think, my bad, this was around June. So August I quit, which I round tripped my 300K gains to the bottom 20K in 2022. That was a fun time. But you know, I joined Hideout around that time. I got to just sit in VC and learn. And you know what? I have zero regrets. You know, I wouldn't have sat at home all day learning, and I've been blessed to get to where I am now. So I think it was the right decision for me. Interview. Why did you quit your job?
I was actually transitioning out of tech. Like I worked for. I used to work in finance years ago, and then I wanted to like pivot into tech. I ended up working for a couple startups, and I actually worked at Salesforce, and then I got into working at Gartner selling technology research, some of which was blockchain stuff. I was like selling it to hedge funds, private equity firms, investment banks, and venture capital firms. And I used to be a pro gamer way back in the day, and I just like, I mean, I'll be honest, like I just felt like kind of burnt out on sales. Like I still think I have like a lot of good sales skill sets and whatnot. Like I did like speaking training and shit like that, but I just like didn't love it and didn't have like a ton of conviction in what I was doing in the process. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to work in like esports or some shit. And I was doing that, and I became like the chief revenue officer for this like esports marketing startup. And at the same time, like NFTs, I had like just gotten into them, and I ended up finding out that the guy who I was in business with, basically the founder of this marketing startup, he just had like did a really terrible job with the funding that he had gotten like 2 years prior, and he didn't like really let me see it until like 2 months into the role. And once I realized like how fucked up it was, I'd started making like a ton of money on NFTs early on, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna like quit and just see if I can make it through this. And I was able to build up a good enough portfolio with NFTs to get through that bear market, like botting shit and whatnot. And then obviously coins. So I've been full-time in the space for, gosh, like three and a half years now or something. I could definitely go back and fall back on prior career experience and whatnot, but I would definitely prefer to work in some capacity in Web3 if like the market ever tanked.
Eventually I'll end up working some position in Web3 when, you know, retail comes along, stops making fun of crypto on TikTok. Like, I don't know. You can kind of relate this to, like, you're talking shady about making the threads. Like, it was obvious, legitimate facts, but, like, people just, like, love negativity, and I feel that's just what all retail I've talked about before, but, like, my friends only message me for my work when they see the market nuke. They never message me when it's going well. People just love negativity, bro, and I'll never understand it.
I'll be honest, I mean, there are definitely times where I question, I was like, damn, should I really be doing this? Like, when NFTs had died and, like, we were really in a fucking bear for, like, almost a year. I don't even know how long it was. It felt like a year. Yeah, I was like, yeah, like, I don't even know if we're ever going to come out of this. Like, what the hell am I going to do? You get so used to the freedom and flexibility that you have in your life. Like, I love to golf, and for me to be able to just go golf whenever I want or go to the gym whenever I want, I really value that. So I think even if you're to work in this space, I think most crypto businesses would be understanding of whatever hours you're going to end up working, because crypto is global. So I don't know. I think once you're used to being full-time in the space, it's pretty hard to go back.
Yeah, like I'm actually looking for a job right now. I'm trying to get something chill just because I actually do want to build
experience.
I want to build experience. I relate everything as a totem pole. If I were to look at a totem pole of my crypto, I would say I'm about a little below middle. And then, my actual job experience, I'm 0. Like, I just graduated. So I'm trying to find a little hybrid John so I can still trade because, even when I do start a job, this will be like the best money maker at the moment. So we'll see how it goes.
Like a pole, huh? You like poles?
I love getting shafted.
Yes.
Love poles.
We'll clip that. Somebody clip that.
I love poles.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that and being somewhat concerned and like what I would do if crypto really did like magically just go to 0 and I couldn't do it anymore. But I think the only thing like keeping me somewhat safe is that I'm like actively always trying to improve on like my development skills and trying to keep learning how to code better. So if I was to stop doing crypto full time, I would probably just go back to school and get like some type of computer science degree, and then that would really just be to just be more knowledgeable on how to like do shit the right way rather than like throwing some like program together in like some way that probably isn't optimal, but it's the only way I know how, and then just look for whatever opportunities I can from there.
Yeah, no, that's valid. Luckily, I have a absolute unit in the job world of a girlfriend right now, so by 0 we'll be all right. I'll live. I'll file that McDonald's application. Just put the fries in the bag, bro. Just put the fries in the bag.
Exactly. You're doing great.
Well,
so Shady, what do you have your eyes on right now? Like, is there anything you're looking forward to in the market?
Well, like I said before, I do want to start getting back into like heavily wallet tracking people, and I guess specifically trying to find KOL wallets. But other than that, in terms of airdrop farming, I am looking to take a lot more of a passive approach. So I'm cutting down a bunch of my wallets right now, and I'm probably going to try to have under 20. And I'm going to work a lot harder on developing, I guess, programs I can run to farm for me. So one thing that I think I'm going to try coding within the next few months is a hyperliquid bot, and all the bot is going to do is look at the price on Coinbase of like Bitcoin, and then essentially open a limit order that would push the or that would be like pushing the hyperliquid price to the Coinbase price. The idea being that Coinbase, or I guess like Binance too, I don't know, I haven't really done that much research into it yet, but these exchanges doing higher volumes, the price of assets on there is generally going to be, I guess, more true, you could say, than what you would see on lower exchange perps protocols. So farming perps protocols in that way, just trying to generate volume and closing the trade like as soon as it gets filled, is really what I want to get into. I don't know if I explained that poorly. If you have any questions, I can try to answer them, but
It's not more of more explanation. It's just I wouldn't understand it anyways. I understand the concept of what you're doing, and I mean it makes sense. Hyperliquid's a big thing, but I think it's pretty much good to wrap it up here. Y'all have any more stuff to talk about or no?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, so I'll probably wrap it up.
Yeah, Shady, it was awesome to have you on, man. Looking forward to seeing you troll some more people.
I definitely will.
Anytime I see a Shady notification on Twitter, I get a little happy. My day gets a little bit better. But alrighty, y'all. Thank y'all so much for coming on. Thank y'all for listening. Y'all have a great day. Peace.
Peace, guys.
All right, peace out.